Okay, so I was on the worst podcast ever. It was with Mike Carmody and Jeremy Messer. If you caught it, you can skip this video. If you didn't, I have compiled a couple of my favorite moments from that podcast. And the last one, if you stick around until the end, is when they asked me if I think YouTube channels like mine have destroyed the pressure washing industry. So if you want to hear my response to that, keep watching. If not, tell me what you think in the comment section down below about how YouTube has killed the pressure washing industry.
This idea of hiring employees, man, you got to answer a question for me and everyone else out there who's watching, who's probably like this. Answer this question if you can, Mike. Nobody can do it as good as me, right? And they're not going to do the job to my standard. Respond, please.
100% accurate.
Yep.
And that's one of the biggest hurdles that guys have to make, going from a owner operator to somebody that is not in the field every single day, or somebody that is hiring somebody as a helper, or, to add an additional vehicle, truck, whatever the case is. Nobody is ever going to do it as good as you are. They are not going to care about your business like you do. They are not going to care about your customers like you do. They're not going to care about your reputation. They're not going to stay awake at night thinking about the business, how it can get better, how they can do a better job marketing, how they can improve customer communication, how they can make, the business, the customer experience better, streamlining things. Nobody is going to do that like the guy that owns the business. And so that's the disconnect. And it's very difficult to make, to step away and say, okay, I understand that they're not going to be as good as me, but I can train them up to be as good as they can possibly be. And if you create an environment for them and a culture, and people can adopt that culture, then they're not going to be as good. They're not going to care as much. The equipment is not going to look anywhere near what it does when you're on the truck and you're taking care of it, because you're solely responsible. But long story short, no employee is going to be able to do it as good as you, and they're not going to care as much. And that's the thing. You have to understand that. And as long as you can understand that, don't, come down on them, because they're not. They never will. It's not their business.
It's not theirs. Yeah.
But real quick, I did want to touch on something that's affecting pretty much everyone that's watching this that owns a business. And that is that there are companies out there that are legally stealing from you every single month, and you have to stop them. And the first way to do that is just delete all of those shitty apps that you've got on your phone, and then go download QuoteIQ Cam, which has no shady pricing tiers, no sleazy upcharges for multiple users when you're just one guy. QuoteIQ Cam is a tool we developed to simplify job management, keep all your important photos and documents organized in one place. It's got inspections, it's got forms, it's got checklists, all in one place, so nothing slips through the cracks. We also built the best before and after picture editor. Check it out. It's on the Apple Store. It's on the Google Play Store. I'll leave some links down below.
Don't feel obligated to answer that first part of that question. I like this. Do you have Mac on hourly or percentage split or combination? How do you go about paying him?
It's a great question, and one that I get all the time. And we have done it every single way. I have done percentage based, and I have done hourly. Now, Mac is a hourly employee. He gets a ton of benefits. He gets bonuses. He gets, one of the things that we've done in QuoteIQ is put the ability to accept tips, right? And and a lot of guys are like, I don't want that. So we've made it so you can actually take it off if that's not your thing. But he gets tips like you wouldn't believe. I think the last time I checked was about a month ago, and he'd made almost 15 grand this year in tips.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's just what I see through QuoteIQ. He'll get them all the time in cash. And what that does, in my opinion, is it incentivizes them to do a better job, to, forge those relationships with customers, because this is what we do. It's all about relationships. It's about building trust. And when people trust you, when they like you, and you go above and beyond, especially if they know you're just the guy that's out there doing the work. And so that's one incentive, paid vacation. And there's always and I hate to use the word, but it's a discretionary year-end bonus based on performance and other metrics that we take a look at. Reviews, when they generate reviews, they get a bonus, a little bump, if you will, if in the review it mentions their name. So that incentivizes them to say, hey, when you get your invoice, after you pay, you're going to get prompted with our, Google review profile. And if you can leave a review, then I'm going to get a little something. And people want to help, right? And it's that little touch. And if you've created an experience and bond with that person, they're definitely more willing to do it. Yeah. I had guys in the past, they wouldn't go and knock on the door, right? They wouldn't introduce themselves. They just go, they do the thing, and they'd haul ass. Now, one of our SOPs is we go, we introduce, we ask to do the pre-inspection walkthrough. We do the entire job. After it's over, hey, do you want to come and walk around? Again, it gives them the opportunity to build a little bit of a relationship, and then hopefully get a tip and hopefully get a review, which again, they get a little bump for. In my opinion, that pay structure has worked better for my business. You got to do a really good job hiring and vetting. And then as soon as you identify a problem person, you got to get rid of them. I was guilty of not. I was guilty of, okay, he's good enough. And he's good enough is not good enough for my business anymore. And it should never be good enough. Like that's, if somebody's just, if you ever tell yourself, well, he does a good enough job, fire him right there.
Okay.
Because guys like that, it's going to be a cancer. They're going to be a problem. I had a guy, just like you had said, this dude, I mean, every day it was like, hey, can you pay me for today? And that just gets cumbersome. It gets annoying. Like, I don't want to pay you every day. I don't want to keep up with it.
Right.
And so I've gone through enough bad employees to where I know what to look for and I know what I'm not going to tolerate. And that has bred a much higher quality of person that we have under our employee now.
Very motivating. Do you have employees take the checks and the cash for the job? How do you deal with situations like that?
Right. And so it goes back to what I said, where I don't like them to know what we're making. Okay. And because of that, again, if you guys aren't familiar, and hopefully you are, I'm the co-founder of QuoteIQ, which is a CRM that, we built specifically for the home service industry, right? I built it and I did it with Justin Rogers. We basically created an all-in-one app where everything can take place in one spot. As far as the payment goes, my guys never collect checks, never collect cash. Once the work is done, they have their phone and there's permissions and whatnot. So they can see the schedule, they can see the job, the scope of work, all of that. And then when it's done, they push complete. It sends an invoice to the customer and then the customer pays it. So there's very few times, I mean, every once in a while, someone will pay cash or they'll leave a check and that's fine. Yeah. For the most part, it's all done online. And that's how most people want to do business, right? It makes it so much easier for the customer. And at the end of the day, my business can't run based on somebody else's schedule, right? So if I'm trying to schedule our work around Susie being home so I can get paid, or, Johnny homeowner, he gets home from work at, 2, I have to be there so he can pay me. Right. You can't run it like, that's not how it works. In today's world, you double click the side button and you pay that invoice and you're done. I mean, that's how people want to work.
And you're going to get more tips with a CRM than otherwise.
Not only the tips, but like, we built this thing and we call it the review multiplier. And every invoice that's paid through the app, immediately you push pay, you get, completed payment, and then automatically it redirects to your Google business profile asking for a review.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's amazing how many reviews it's 10x what we used to get just from our email automation and our sequences, where I ask repeatedly, please, my guys ask, please leave us a review. Right. It's difficult. People, oh yeah, we'll leave you a review. A lot of people won't. I've been in business for 20 something years and we've got like, I don't even know how many reviews, 300, 350 or whatever. I've not actively been, going after them for a long time, but now that we have this thing in place and it's just a no brainer. And those reviews equate to more money, equate to more customers, equate to you getting pushed up in that, that 3-pack. Reviews are gold.
Reviews are gold.
We've got a long drip of emails for every point in our sales process, from when they get a quote. If they don't accept the quote, they get dripped emails until they either opt in, say, yes, schedule me, or they opt out, or they decline the estimate. And if they decline the estimate, guess what happens then? Hey, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. If anything changes, let us know. And then I've got a couple others in place. And this is pure gold. If anybody's using email automation, if somebody declines and you've got the capability that you do in QuoteIQ to send an email, 11 months after I have a declined email, they get another email that says, hey, it's been about a year since you were looking for services. I don't know, what's going on with the other company, but we would love to provide an estimate for you. Not only are you didn't get the job the first time, you thanked them, whatever, but then you're following up a year later, because typically down here, people are doing it once a year.
Right.
So you're hitting them again at the opportune time. And we all know that a lot of businesses come and go. And that company, I mean, how many phone calls do you guys get a week where it's like, well, the last guy did it for $200. We'll call him. Well, I did, and he's out of business.
He's out of
exactly. Business. And that's why that follow-up email is so important.
Let's talk about pricing, if you would. We're not to go into the details of pricing, but just to kind of bounce off of what you just said there. The guy they had last year was $200, whatever, the $99 guy. Was there a time when you were just too cheap? Did you have to see an evolution, or what was that like for you?
Man, I was so cheap. And it's embarrassing to think about how cheap I was. Like we would do, 1,200 square foot houses for, $150, $200. And like, we won't show up for any job for under our minimum price is $225. For anything. Yeah, there was a time where we were definitely not valuing ourselves, and it was a mental thing that I had to get over, because it was like, hey, what do you do, Mike? Oh, I own a pressure washing business. Like, I was embarrassed, but it was a mental thing. And a lot of guys, whether it's their age, they're getting into it young, their experience, they don't have a lot of experience, or they just don't think that what they're doing is valuable enough to charge what they should truly be charging. And that's a mindset thing. And that was a mindset that I had, and I had to get over it. And it took me way too long. So if anybody's watching and you're questioning whether you're too cheap or you're not, you are too cheap. And I challenge every single person here. The next 5 quotes that you give, come up with the number that you want to quote them, add $100 to it, and push send. That's straight to the bottom line, right?
Wow.
Like, you didn't do anything different. And that's why I challenge you to raise your prices. And everybody's like, well, the $99 guy, this and that. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Learn how to sell, learn how to convey the value that you offer. And more importantly, target the people with the money, because they don't care about the price. I only try to sell to rich people, solve rich people's problems, right? That's the key to success, is you find the people with the most money, you find out what their pain points are, and you go after them, and you fill that void that they have. And the void, what I have found, is when somebody rolls up, or they're Googling, he wants his house washed. Okay, I'm going to Google it. Whoever pops up first, he's going to call number one. So do your work to try to be number one. Call that number. If that guy doesn't answer, guess what? That person with the money, who's got time, his time is very valuable. He's just going to go to number 2 and call that person. And if that guy doesn't answer, he's not going to leave a message. He's not going to wait around for you to show up on Wednesday to give a quote. You know what he's going to do? He's going to move on to the next guy until he can get somebody that will give him a price right then, get him on the schedule right then, so he can be done with it. He can move on to more important things, because the pressure washing isn't that important. That's why he wants to get it done. So I've crafted everything that I do in my business to focus on the things that I think that people with money want. And that is, they value their time more than their money, and they're willing to give us their money so they don't have to waste time on the stuff that they don't want to do.
Yeah, if I can add an addendum to that, because I can hear some of our audience, in particular those who just really enjoy my type of, my personality. When you said, I market to the rich people. Okay, so I want to help somebody who's like, man, that just doesn't set well with my spirit. I don't feel that. It just feels like I feel greedy or whatever. Here's the thing. If you market to the wealthy, you can always reach those who aren't wealthy. But if you market to those who aren't wealthy, you'll never get those higher paying jobs. The way that it works. That's the way our system is built. And so you really do have to get over that. Market to those, and you can always, and by the way, here's another thing on that same line, is we feel guilty. We're like, man, that little tiny house that, it's kind of run down. It's not in the best neighborhood. If they want their house washed, they will find someone. There are guys out there who will do it. You don't have to feel like you have to lower your price to help that person out. That's wonderful. And I'm all about people over profits. Everybody knows that. That has nothing to do with that. My point being is that we don't have to feel guilty as if that person will never get their house washed.
I felt guilty charging, even like you said, a little house, maybe it's a grandma or a widow, whatever the case is. chart, like it should be $250, right? I've got overhead, I've got employees, I've got insurance. This is a business.
Yeah.
And I know people over profits, that's your thing. And I respect that. And I say it many times on my channel, this is a business. It's not a charity.
Sure.
You can be charitable if you make enough money
Absolutely
in your business to do all kinds of great things. I also have adopted a new phrase, and it is this. It is, we are in this business to make money. We are not in this business to make friends.
You have been in YouTube, doing the YouTube thing for quite some time. Here's the elephant in the room. How has YouTube hurt the industry? It's the elephant in the room.
How has YouTube impacted?
Yeah, that might be a better question. How is it?
Repeat your question, because say it again.
Well, I just said, how has it hurt?
Oh, well, I am the king of destroying the industry. I personally oversaturated the industry, and I have killed profit margins for entire countries. Solely my channel has done so.
You are the logo, by the way.
I am the logo. I am. It's the most stolen logo in the pressure washing industry, and it whatever. So this is my response to that, and I get it. And it used to. And I can't say it bothered me, because the people that say things like that are people that are looking for excuses to why their business sucks. Okay. I have never told anybody, and I challenge anybody to go to my channel or anywhere where I've ever spoken publicly and say that I have said starting a pressure washing business is easy. That I have said that you need to you're going to make so much money pressure washing, right? And what I teach and what I preach is, if you put in the work, if you educate yourself, if you equip yourself with the knowledge and the equipment, because you need the equipment to be efficient, to be profitable, you can be successful. You can be successful. You won't, there's no guarantees, because 90% of the people that watch my channel, they will never take what I teach. They will never take what you teach, Mike, or you, Jeremy, or the experiences that we share, and they will do nothing with them. They will consume it, and they will sit on their couch and talk about what might be, what I want to do. And at the end of the day, and I've said this before, is nobody on their deathbed has ever said, man, I really wish I'd have done this, or I wish I'd done that. They talk about the things that they do, right?
Yeah,
and
good.
If you don't do it, if you don't go out there and put in effort, and that's what it takes. So to anybody that says YouTube is hurting the pressure washing industry, I say you're 100% wrong. I'm saying that my channel has helped more people better themselves, elevated the quality of the markets. The guys that complain are the ones, I'm never going to educate myself. I'm just going to do it the hard way. I'm not going to use a CRM. I'm just going to write it down on paper and do it the old way. Well, guess what? Times have changed, and your business will suffer if you don't change. And the only way you're going to change is you get better. You embrace technology. You embrace knowledge. You embrace the fact that the way that you're doing it, it probably isn't the greatest. And I'm not going to get ugly, but like, because inherently that's where I go. People that say that are the people that will never invest in themselves. They'll never say, you know what, I don't know enough. And I am a very, I'm a proud man. And I think that I'm relatively intelligent, and I think I'm pretty good at some of the things that I do. But I also understand that there are so many things that I am not good at. QuoteIQ. I don't know anything about software development. I don't know about coding. I don't know about, SaaS. And there's a lot of these things. And do you know what I had to do? I had to educate myself in a rapid way, and I had to pay to play. I am willing to pay for the information that I don't have, because it shortcuts the learning curve. I practice what I preach, right? Guys that don't write the check are never going to get out what the guys that do, right? If you pay for how to wash, someone was in here saying they took how to wash, they took local domination. And guess what? When you invest in yourself and your business, you are way more likely to take that information and implement it, as opposed to just consume it and never do a thing with it, because you're never going to get better unless you implement. So to all of the haters that say that YouTube is hurting the pressure washing, I say, no, it's not. It's elevating it, and you're not keeping up, and you're just pissed off because someone came into your market because they listened to what we say, and they're doing better than you.
Tell us how you really feel, Mike. That was
be
pretty
all.
good. I'm going back. I never watched this over again. I'm watching tonight.